And if the buildings had slammed to the ground, the seismic signal would have shown it. Didn't happen. Michael Ober said, I don't remember the sound of the building hitting the ground. Somebody told me it was measured on the Richter scale. I don't know how true that is. If the building's hitting the ground that hard, why do I not remember the sound of it? It's amazing. And somebody who worked in the 27th floor decided to go home because he wasn't going to get anything done that day. Went down to the ferry terminal, the south end of the island, and some idiot, they thought, came running up and said, the tower just collapsed. And that's ridiculous. They didn't hear it. They didn't feel it. When they walked past the tower, it looked like it was in good shape. Well, I think I know why it didn't make a sound. That part of the building doesn't make a thud when it hits. Dust gradually settles, and that's a lot of dust. This is an earthquake that happened earlier that year, in January of 2001, in Manhattan. So we know that the bedrock that the tower sat on can carry a seismic signal. But here's what Tower 1, the signal it made. Notice the difference in the quality. This is very high frequency. The lines are very closely spaced compared to this. Also, it has this, I call it the snout leading up to the big signal. It has that leading portion, which is the primary wave. The P wave arrives first, and then the secondary wave arrives. This is neither a P wave or an S wave. This is only a surface wave. P wave and S wave travels through the Earth. In other words, when during the tower's demise, the signal did not travel through the Earth. Again, that's the January 17th earthquake. And here's, P wave is like a rubber band snap, and the S wave is like a jump rope. And the rolling surface, like getting up off a mattress in the morning, the mattress springs back up. If you remove two 500,000-ton buildings, you're going to create a surface wave. But it only lasted 8 seconds. You know it takes 9.5 seconds to throw a bowling ball off the roof of the towers and have it hit the ground? So how can this be? The building couldn't have reached the ground as a solid, rigid object. Here's where Tower 2 had already gone by the time this chart started. Tower 1's demise there. But here we're going to focus on Building 7, down here. There was an earthquake in the Fox Islands by the Aleutian Islands, and that's what the mess is after that. But where this vertical red line is, there's no seismic event that shows up at this scale. Nothing that stands out from background noise. For a 47-story building's demise, this is the King Dome. So here's a controlled demolition, and it produces a P wave and an S wave. So what length of time does that take? It takes, for a free fall speed from the roof to the ground, it's about 4 seconds. But the portion of time that the ground shook was more than twice that. So that doesn't answer the question either of what we saw. And with Building 7, what is very telling is that they calculated when the P wave and the S wave should have arrived because they could not pick it out from background noise. They couldn't even pick out where the surface wave arrived at one of these stations. So there's 5 different stations reporting, and they had to calculate when the S wave and P wave would have arrived, and it was not there. The signal did not travel through the Earth. So if we have Seattle King Dome, we're going to look at things relative to that. That made a 2.3 on the Richter scale when it was blown up by controlled demolition. And we have these two towers. Let's say for Tower 2 is the first to go. So if we turn it to dust, all but the bottom 16 stories, and then drop a 16-story building to the ground, we record approximately the same seismic signal as what was recorded on 9/11. Just pretend this rest doesn't exist. And for Tower 2, if you turn it into dust above the 20th story and just drop a 20-story building to the ground, you get the seismic signal that was recorded. And for Building 7, it's all but the bottom 2.5 stories. Where's the rest of the building? It makes it 0.6 on the Richter scale. That's like a jackhammer. It should have sounded like it was raining dump trucks. You know, big dump trucks go down the road, they wake you up at night because they vibrate the ground.